Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you've imagined. An art journal tutorial by Creative Katie. That's me, Karen. Take the time to hit the subscribe button in the lower right hand corner. You won't miss any videos that way. So I start off gessoing the page, and as you can see on the left hand side, this is something that I have stamped or punched out with my arc punch, and I can put back into my homemade journal using my arc planner. And I'll put an iCard up there to take you to that video if you're interested to learn more. So I'm picking colors of my Inktense blocks, and I'm picking some blues and greens to mix on the page for the sky. This is in response to the Try It Tuesday Prompt Stick Challenge number 16, and the first prompt was to use Inktense blocks. And as you know, I love my Inktense blocks. So going back to them and having to use them is extremely easy for me. It's kind of my happy place. And as you see, I'm just literally scribbling on, wetting it, drying it, and moving the pigment or the ink around. And there you see me sprinkling some coarse sea salt, and I'm just doing that to add a little bit more texture. So after I let it dry, I rub off the excess salt, and now I'm going to paint mountains, because that's another one of the prompts, a mountain theme. And I have a vague idea of how to do this, and I'm using again the Inktense blocks and my nicer brushes to paint some mountain peaks. And as I look at it now, I'm thinking, oh, that looks quite nice, and I like what I see. As you'll see later on, I add to this significantly. I think one of the things I can recommend, whether you want to make YouTube videos or not, if you have a way of recording how you create, going over it and seeing it from that perspective can be really helpful to the creative process. Sometimes you see things that when you're in the thick of the creation of the page you don't see, and it gives you some insight into things. Just a suggestion. So I'm adding layers, and I'm trying to build some texture into the mountains so that it looks like mountains, and my idea was to have layers of mountains, so as you see, some in the distance, some closer up. So I'm not sure my perspective is there. I'm not sure. I'm using I'm using a combination of Payne's Gray and I can't remember the other color, but it is the dark blue there. And Payne's Gray is kind of a blue-gray. I had so many ideas for this page that I think that's what interfered with the progression of it, so I kind of changed pace. So one of the prompts is to use gesso in the middle of the project. Now, I usually gesso the page. And another one of them was to use a palette knife or a credit card on there. And so I combined the two prompts. So I am putting some black and some white to make my mountains. By the time I'm done, you don't really see any of the blue there, and I kind of wish I had left some of the blue. But I had so much fun doing this. Give me a little piece of credit card, and I am in a happy place. I love that technique. You can build up some real great texture and perspective using it. So I'm just going back and forth from my black gesso to my white gesso, adding more mountain ranges as I see fit. And again, I'm not going off of a picture. I'm just going till I like what I see. That's pretty much it. So, as I'm watching this, I'm going, oh, could have stopped there. I really like what's here and I like what's there. So if I was to do several mountain ones now, I think I could kind of perfect the idea of how to do it. And that's another thing to try. If you really want to conquer painting mountains or painting water, doing several repeatedly, time and time again, and practicing. So here I've got some more Inktense block, and I got kind of an aqua tealy color, and I'm just putting it on the bottom. I think, oh, it's going to be a mountain stream at the bottom, and then they're always so bright, clear, aqua, sparkling. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. I kind of wish that I had started the lake a little higher up, less mountains, more lake. But again, if I was to do it again, that's what I would do. So I'm thinking, okay, use a new stencil. This is my Tim Holtz. It came in a pack of 3. They're the mini stencils, which I'm really quite thrilled about. And I'll put an iCard to the video where I show myself using all of the videos that I purchased in my latest haul. And I'm just putting it to get some feel of the water there. Again, adding some depth and perspective and texture. So now that that's dried, I'm just adding a little bit more. In the end, I'm really quite happy with how it turned out. But I mean, I could have played for hours and kept going back and forth with my mountains. So one of the next prompts was that something needed to be outlined or shaded. So there's really not much on the page to be shaded, so I just kind of shaded around the edges to frame or set off. And I'm just using my Inktense blocks for it. I'm not even venturing into using my Stabilo All pencil, and I'm just rubbing it very coarsely against the mountains, very roughly. I'm not even thinking much about what I'm doing. And I really like how it ended up and how it turned out. I'm activating some of it with my finger. And I bought this stamp. It has 3 sentiment quotes on it. Nice big print. It's Kaisercraft, and they have a whole selection of this. And I will put the link to this that you can go to Amazon and find this stamp, as well as the Tim Holtz stencil that I used, and the Inktense blocks. I will search out those and put those in the description box so that if you're interested in them, you can go directly there and find the product without trying to do a search in Amazon. It can be kind of time-consuming, not to mention expensive if you start clicking on other things. So I love how that quote, nice big letters, and it stands out. Don't think I put it on quite straight, but a couple places that it didn't quite take. And I used my Dilutions black paint with a makeup sponge, and I just applied it to the stamp. One of my favorite ways to get a really dark stamp for my lettering or sentiments. One of the best uses. I find craft paint's a little too wet. The Liquid-X acrylic is a little too thick, but the thickness of the Dilutions black is perfect for that purpose. So there's my page. There's a close-up of the mountains, and hopefully you can see some of the textures and the salt technique there. Close-up of the stamp, and again, you see the different colors of the Inktense blocks showing up behind the scene. And the finished page. And for some reason I cut off the water below, so I'm sorry about that. Thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial. If you want to see more videos like this, give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe.